All right, guys, today we're going to talk about multiplying fractions. So multiplying fractions is very easy to do with the algorithm, but I'm not going to lie to you. It is incredibly difficult to understand when we use multiplication with fractions. And we're going to talk about that right now, okay? So look up here at number 1. It says, the middle school basketball team is selling pizza at the school concession stand. During the game, Christina bought half of a fourth of a pizza. How much of the pizza, meaning the whole pizza, did Christina buy? Now, we did a problem similar to this earlier. When you hear that, when you hear half of a fourth, what does your mind usually go to? What operation does your mind usually go to? Bless you. If I asked you to find half of something, what would you do to find half of something? You would divide by what?
2.
You would divide by 2. So usually, when you're finding half of something, we divide by 2. Well, I'm going to show you what that looks like very quickly. We are not going to learn this year, but I'm showing you that when we multiply fractions, we are actually doing division. So let's back up real quick. In your model, using one color of your crayon, I want you to shade in the fourth of the pizza that's available to Christina to buy. So right there, I've shaded in the fourth of the pizza that is available to Christina to buy. How much of that fourth of the pizza does she purchase?
2.
She purchases half of the fourth. So watch up here real quick. Put your eyes on the board. You basically have 1/4, and you're dividing that by 2. To mathematically do this problem, watch what I do. Is everyone watching?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Put your eyes up there. To divide this, I start by turning my whole number into a fraction. And then when I do the algorithm, which we are not going to learn right now, I'm just showing you why it works, of division for fractions, you keep the first fraction the same. We're actually going to change the problem to a multiplication problem. And then we are going to multiply by the reciprocal of 2 wholes. What that means is flip-flop the numerator and denominator. So when what was 2 over 1 becomes 1 over 2.
You can do that.
Look, I started with a division problem, but to actually find the answer, I had to change it to a multiplication problem. That's why when I tell you, when you take a fractional amount, a piece of something, you're going to multiply it. Because anytime you divide by a fraction, you end up multiplying. Okay? That's going to be our little trick, trying to help us understand why this problem right here, 1/2 of 1/4, oops, not 1/2 of 1/2, 1/2 of 1/4 is actually the same thing as doing 1/2 times 1/4. So let's do that in the model now. I have my fourth of the pizza shaded. She wants half of that amount. So I'm going to split that fourth in half. So how many of those pieces does she buy?
1.
1 of those pieces. So how much of the whole pizza does she buy?
2 slices.
What does this represent? 1 out of 8 total pieces. So when I split the fourth of my pizza in half, I was really multiplying. I was creating more pieces of pizza, right? I went from 4 pieces of pizza to 8 pieces of pizza. Another way of showing this, if everyone could pause what they're doing and look up at the board. This is what this problem would have looked like modeled if the model wasn't already drawn for you. You ready? Okay, here's my whole pizza. How much is available for her at the concession stand?
8.
A fourth of that pizza, right? It says half of a fourth. Of that fourth of a pizza, how much does she buy? If I just split that 1/4 of the pizza in half, could you look at that and tell me how much of the whole pizza she bought?
Yes.
You could. Look at that. What is the value of that piece of pizza?
1/8.
But on my model, can you tell it's 1/8?
No.
No. So whenever we take a fractional amount of something, we want to cut that fraction all the way across because that gives us our denominator. If I wouldn't have cut it all the way across, you wouldn't have been able to give me the value of that one piece out of the whole pizza. Does that make sense? So we're going to try another one. It says during the game, Paul bought 2/3 of 1/4 of a pizza. How much of the pizza did Paul buy? How much does he start with? How much is at the concession stand there for him to buy? 1/4. So this model is split in fourths going vertically. So there is the fourth of the pizza available to Paul. How much of that's available does he purchase? 2/3. Right now on your own, I want you to show me what that looks like and give me an answer of how much of the total pizza he bought. So a lot of you guys got it correct. You notice here's the fourth of the pizza. 2/3 of that amount represents 2 out of 12 total pieces of the entire pizza. 2 and 12 are both even numbers, therefore they can both be divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is? You're fighting for
1.
Is 1, and 12 divided by 2 is?
6.
So how much of the whole pizza did he purchase?
1/6.
1/6. I got some great news. You ready? If you don't like models, me neither. I feel you. But we can use the algorithm. And the algorithm is so lovely because multiplying fractions just works really easily. So look up here at your top example. It says Paul and his friends are making trail mix. The recipe calls for 2/4 cups of almonds. If the boys plan to make half of that recipe, how many cups of almonds do they need? Remember, your head might go to doing 3/4 divided by 2, right? But you're going to multiply it by 1/2 instead. When you multiply it by 1/2 and you write out your equation, it is either 1/2 times 3/4, or you could have written it 3/4 times 1/2. The reason that it's written this way is because we read this multiplication sign as the word of. And the problem is telling you you want half of 3/4. That's why it's written that way. You want to know the beautiful way we do this? Multiply straight across. Numerator times numerator. Denominator times denominator. No. Oh, you were looking on the bottom. Oh, I was too. Sorry about that. Let's look at the top. 1 times 3, my numerator times my numerator is?
3.
That's my new numerator. 2 times 4, my denominators are? 8. It's the new denominator. Can 3/8 be simplified?
No.
Nope, all done. Try the one on the bottom. It says the next recipe calls for 2/3 cups raisins. If the boys plan to make half the recipe, how many cups of raisins do they need? Try it on your own. So when you multiply across the bottom here, 1 times 2 is?
2.
2 times 3 is?
6.
2/6 can be simplified by dividing by
2.
2. 2 divided by 2 is?
1.
6 divided by 2 is?
3.
So they need 1/3 cups of raisins. Awesome job.